Hello everyone, welcome. I'm going to teach you today how to make some delicious crepes. Not just any kind of crepes, but apple cinnamon crepes. Here's how you do it. The first thing we need to do is get the batter made. So the batter today is going to be made with a couple of key ingredients. We're going to need some all-purpose flour, some eggs, and some milk. And they're going to be in equal measures. So a cup of eggs, a cup of flour, and a cup of milk. We're going to use our blender to mix it up today. So we're going to take our blender, lock it in place. You've got to be careful with these, make sure the cover's nearby. You don't want to have crepe batter all over the place. We're going to go ahead and hit it with our milk. Right inside, beautiful. Also, our eggs, we're going to put 4 eggs in. Now 4 eggs is equivalent to about a cup's worth of eggs. You might want to be careful with this too. Probably hitting them over the blender might not be a good idea. You could drop the eggshell into the blender and that will be really hard to get out. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to go ahead and just pour them into a separate bowl really quickly, just like this. And finally the last egg. 4 eggs, just like that, into the bottom of our base liquid for our delicious crepes. Next up is going to be our flour. We're going to use 1 cup of flour directly into the, into the blender, just like so. Clean up the mess. And now we're going to go ahead and add some sugar and some salt. Salt first, a little pinch of salt, and some sugar, just like so. That's good there. About a teaspoon of each. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn on our stove, and we're going to add some butter to our pan that's beside us there. And that butter is going to be cooking down. We're going to be cooking this down just to melt it and to cook it a little bit. And just till it's melted. So now that our butter is fully melted, we're going to cook it a little bit to get some brown flavors into those milk solids. Beautiful. And that's it. Shut off the oven. And we're going to go ahead now and add our brown butter to the flour and milk into the blender, just like so. Next, we're going to put on our lid, and we're going to go ahead and blend this until it's completely smooth. Now that's completely done, we're going to go ahead and pour it into a bowl, just like so. And that is our crepe batter completed. One last thing is that we want to refrigerate this for about an hour or so before you use, because we want to give a chance for the flour to set up and to thicken up and to make those crepes really delicious. Luckily, I've already did this an hour ago. We have some beautiful crepe batter that's now much thicker, much more delicious, and ready to go for making crepes. All right, so next up we're going to go ahead and start making our crepes. So let's get our pan going that we used earlier to melt the butter. We're going to go ahead and hit it with a little spray oil as well and get it nice and hot. This is going to help keep the crepes from sticking. We're also using a nice non-stick, well-seasoned pan, and this will help also with our crepes, making them nice and light and thin and not sticking fast. So you're going to get this nice and hot. When I put your hand over, and you want to see feel the heat radiating from the hand, and then you know it's ready. Then we're going to take a small ladle of our batter that we made earlier, and I'm going to pour it over the pan like so, just like that. And they're going to put it back onto the pan like so. Okay, so our crepe is now ready to be turned over. You can see now that it's completely cooked and starting to brown on the ends. We're going to use our spatula to loosen the crepe up, and then we're going to give it a quick toss to bring it around. Just like so. Beautiful. Turn our heat back on and finish cooking the crepe on the opposite side. And that's it. That's 1 crepe done. So we're going to make 3 crepes today, and we just repeat the same process. ladle some batter over, rotate your pan or your pan, and cook it just for a few minutes until you see the edges start turning brown, and then you can take them off. And last but not least, our last one, a little more spray oil. Oil in some of our beautiful batter, just like so. And then we'll rotate this around. Using our nonstick pan. You can watch it right there. And ready to go. Once you get making these, you can make dozens and dozens of these in a short period of time. Sometimes when I'm doing this professionally, I have 3 pans going. And that's done. We'll turn off our stove. And now we have 3 crepes made just like that. So for those who don't know, a crepe is a very thin French-style pancake. Super simple and super great. So let's move on now to filling these crepes with something delicious. How about some apple cinnamon? So we're going to switch our pans. I'm going to use another pan now. I'm going to hit the pan with some butter as well. So we're using full fat butter right here into the pan. Turn this guy on. We'll get it cooking. While we're waiting for that to melt down, we're going to grab ourselves an apple. And we're going to go ahead and quickly peel the apple. These are Granny Smiths. Granny Smiths are great because they're really tart. They have some wonderful tartness to them, and work really well with different types of dishes like this, where you have some sugar being added. Granny Smiths also match really well with cinnamon. One of my favorite combinations of food is apple and cinnamon. So now once our apple is peeled, we're going to go ahead and we're going to slice this apple in half. We're going to do this to remove the core of the apple. You can get a core and just slice down the core, but sometimes it's much simpler and faster just to do it like this. Just remove the core. The core has the hard bits where the seeds are located in the apple, and we don't want those in our crepes. So from here now, we're going to go ahead and dice up our apple into like a really coarse dice. It doesn't have to be fancy. No fancy shapes or anything, just super coarse. This is going to be inside a crepe. As long as it's fork size and able to be put onto a fork, that's all we're looking for. Well, I'm doing this and keeping an eye on my butter, making sure it doesn't burn. Butter's now melted. It's starting to get foamy, starting to smell really nice. We're going to go ahead now and give our apples a really quick dice. Again, rustic. You don't have to be fancy with this. Just get them in the pan. Beautiful. Just like that. So now that we have our butter browning beautifully, we're going to go ahead and saute our apples into the hot butter, just like that. Beautiful. Making sure we keep them onto the pan. Don't throw them on the floor. While we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and hit our apples with some delicious brown sugar. Brown sugar is delicious because there's actually a little bit of molasses inside it, and it really adds a wonderful character to some brown apples along with the cinnamon. Just look at that sugar melt away. And it's creating its own like caramel sauce with the apples. Turn my heat down a little bit. Beautiful. Now comes some apple juice. So we're going to pour in a little bit of this apple juice. There we go. And we're going to simmer the apples now in the apple sugar and the and some of the the apple juice, just till the apple's starting to soften. And the sauce, the apple juice itself will reduce down and become a really delicious sauce. About 5 minutes. All right, so while we're waiting for this to cook down, let's get some whipped cream on the go to finish off our dessert. So we have some cream. This is 35% whipping cream. We're going to go ahead and pour it directly into our stainless steel bowl. That's probably enough. About a half cup's worth. Then we're going to take some sugar. I'm going to pour in about a tablespoon's worth of sugar to sweeten it. Then we're also going to put in a tiny, tiny little bit of the cinnamon that we had before to make a cinnamon-based whipped cream product. Then we're going to go ahead and grab ourselves a whisk. And we're going to whisk this up till it becomes thick and foamy. Oh, some whipped cream. Let's check our apples. Look at the sauce now that's formed. The apple juice is reduced down and they've almost candied on the apples themselves. Look at that. Look how supple that looks. It looks so delicious. So, so nice. All right, guys, I think we're ready to plate up our quick little dessert. Got myself a little plate here with some of the other things that we're working on the side. We'll lay our plate down. We'll grab ourselves a crepe onto our board. Put in our delicious cooked apples in the center of the crepe like so. And make sure we get some of that sauce, that beautiful apple sauce reduction with butter and brown sugar. We're going to take our crepe now, we're going to fold it over itself like this, bring it tight, and roll it up like a little ball. I'm going to do that 3 more times. 2 more times, I should say, for 3 crepes in total. Whenever you're plating, guys, odd numbers look better. So you can go 1, not 2, but 3. 3 is always better than 2. Lay this one right here across our plate. Have it staggered like that, I think is a nice look. And finally our last crepe, just like so. And our 3rd crepe across like so. Now to finish it off, we're going to go with our whipped cream that we made earlier, just a few moments ago. Take our spoon again that we worked on earlier, and go ahead and spoon in a little bit of whipped cream on top of the whole thing, just like so. There's cinnamon in the whipped cream as well is going to infuse with it. And last but not least, to finish off our little dish, we'll sprinkle up a little bit of cinnamon over top of everything, just like so. Or you want to get real fancy, you can actually get a microplane and an actual stick of cinnamon and grate a little bit on top for that extra fresh cinnamon aroma. And there we are. Apple cinnamon crepes.